तनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते। सम्प्राप्ते सन्निहिते काले नहि नहि रक्षति दुःकृन्करणे। मूढजहीहि धनागमतृष्णां गुरु सद्बुद्धिं मनसि वितृष्णाम्। यल्लभसे निजकर्मोपात्तं वित्तं तेन विनोदय चित्तम्। नारीस्तनभरनाभिदेशं दृष्ट्वा मागामोहावेशम्। एतन्मांसवसादिविकारं मनसि विचिन्तय वारं वारम्। नलिनीदलगतजलमतितरलं तद्वज्जीवितमतिशयचपलम्। विद्धि व्याध्यभिमानग्रस्तं लोकं शोकहतं च समस्तम्। यावद्वित्तोपार्जनसक्तः तावन्निज परिवारो रक्तः। पश्चाज्जीवति जर्जरदेहे वार्तां कोऽपि न पृच्छति गेहे। यावत् पवनो निवसति देहे तावत् पृच्छति कुशलं गेहे। गतवति वायौ देहापाये भार्या बिभ्यति तस्मिन् काये। बालस्तावत् क्रीडासक्तः तरुणस्तावत् तरुणीसक्तः। वृद्धस्तावत् चिन्तासक्तः परमे ब्रह्मणि कोऽपि न सक्तः। काते कान्ता कस्ते पुत्रः संसारोऽयमतीव विचित्रः। कस्य त्वं कः कुतायातः तत्त्वं चिन्तय तदिह भ्रातः। सत्सङ्गत्वे निस्सङ्गत्वं निस्सङ्गत्वे निर्मोहत्वम्। निर्मोहत्वे निश्चलतत्वं निश्चलतत्वे जीवन्मुक्तिः। वयसि गते कः कामविकारः शुष्के नीरे कः कासारः। क्षीणे वित्ते कः परिवारो ज्ञाते तत्त्वे कः संसारः।
Seek the self, seek the self, seek the self, O foolish mind. At the destined time, mundane activity never indeed would save you. We gave the background of the Bhaja Govindam. A old man was memorizing grammar rules of Panini. Per se, we have to learn Sanskrit, and grammar is the important factor of any language. But you have to understand the context here, that as an end in itself, without knowing what he is studying for, he was memorizing the grammar rules at the very end of his life. To taking deep sympathy on him, Adi Shankaracharya gives out the verses of Bhaja Govindam, and in the first verse he says, which is the chorus verse, he says, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. He says 3 times, O Mudamathe. Mudamathe means, O foolish mind. And at the appointed hour, these grammar rules are not going to save you. So, this verse, which is taken as a chorus, epitomizes the purport of the entire Bhaja Govindam. What it really means in the message is, drop your external and extroverted pursuit and seek the self within. This is the key message. This is the essential message. Essential message is, you cannot pursue the world and the mundane activities as an end in itself. It will not take you anywhere. Instead, you have to turn around and seek the self within you. Bhaja means worship, prayer. It refers to generally the spiritual pursuit. Govinda, the term refers to Lord Krishna. Bhaja also means bhajan, bhakti, singing in bhajan. Govinda refers to Krishna. You will find that some of the verses in Bhaja Govindam and many verses in other texts also, they distinctly speak 2 languages. The verse is the same, meaning is the same, but it could be understood at 2 levels. One is the language of bhakti, another is the language of jnanam. One appeals to the emotion of a person per se. You have to feel the verse and just get yourself immersed in the verse based on bhakti. Another is deeply go into it and understand the jnanam or the message behind the verse. So, what is the general understanding of this verse or direct meaning of the verse? It can be taken like that also. Sing in the praise of Krishna. Govinda is Krishna. Sing his name. Bhaja. Worship him. That is the meaning. Because that is what is going to save you at the end of your life. Not the grammar rules. It's a very simple and direct meaning. Now we may ask, just by chanting God's name, is it going to help? It does help. We said in the talk on bhakti that the aspect of bhakti or the yoga of bhakti is given little more weightage in the times that we are living, because we are not able to do other sadhana in the same prescribed way, because our faculties are not as alert and as strong as it were in the previous yugas. That is the reason. It has been corrupt by the Kali. I mean, in the sense that in the Iron Age, the mind is very much full of desires and full of various other aspects that it is not able to fully concentrate and do any sadhana by itself. Therefore, even the great Advaita Acharyas are those who stand in the absolute truth of Brahman and Brahman alone, like Shankaracharya, like Madhusudana Saraswati. In the Kanchi Mutt, which follows Shankaracharya, there was a great saint called Bodhendra. You will find that all the Shankaracharyas of the Kanchi Mutt will have this Indra Saraswati title. Chandrasekharendra Saraswati, Jayendra Saraswati. Now the present pontiff is Vijayendra Saraswati. Similarly, couple of centuries earlier, it was Bodhendra Saraswati. His guru was Sadashiva Brahmendra Saraswati. Indra Saraswati will be there. He dedicated his life only propagating chanting of Lord's name, and he is the Pitadipati or the Acharya of the greatest mutt, one of the greatest mutt of Advaita Vedanta. He has mentioned, and various other Acharyas have also, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, everybody has said this, that you can take Lord's name. But how does it really help? Is it as simple? Yes, it is simple, but do not cheapen it. It is not cheap, it is simple. See, what is important in spiritual sadhana is that your thought must be on the self, thought must be on God. That is the essential, this everybody understands, this is the essential purpose of our sadhana. But the mind goes here and there, it is very vagrant, it goes into the past, it goes into the future, it is never on self. It is otherwise very easy. Just concentrate on God, just meditate on God. Every problem is solved. But even as we sit in the puja room, sitting in front of a deity, even if you open the eyes or close the eyes, the mind doesn't seem to be focused. That's the nature of our mind. So what to do? Therefore, other practices are given. We have to start from the very basic level of karma to slowly channelize the mind. And then, in terms of keeping the thought on God, chanting of God's name is also given as a practice. Even some people write also God's name. These are also practice. Now, how does it work? We are not talking in terms of cause and effect. In other words, it is not that by chanting Lord's name mechanically alone, it is going to take something somewhere. But there is a connection between thought, your word and your deed. There is a connection. The subtlest thought, then comes word, then comes the action at the body level. So according to the science of pervasiveness, according to the science of control, it is the subtle that controls the gross. Gross will not control the subtle. This is clear. And yet, even in japa, even in meditation, what is recommended is japa. It is chanting the mantra Om or any mantra even at the mental level. So chanting really helps. How does it help? In meditation, you are asked to focus on a single thought of the self, whatever you keep as the thought. So there is no other thought except that thought. But to sustain that thought, it is very difficult. Therefore, what is recommended is that you mentally, first even physically outside, but then mentally you chant the mantra Om. You say Om, Om, Om. There is a sound, there is a silence. There is a sound, there is a silence. There is a sound, silence. This is how the chant works. In this wave of your chanting, the thought is sustained. Why this is recommended? The science behind that is, when you are closing your eyes and sitting in meditation, there is nobody to guide you or police you if your mind deviates away. Right? So there must be a mechanism by which there is a self-auto-correction process if your mind deviates away. So this chant is synchronized with the thought flow. When the chant is synchronized with the thought flow, it parallelly goes like that. Whenever the mind has a tendency to deviate or be fidgety at that point of time also, it will go there, here. When it goes here and there, what happens is that invariably your chant stops. When your chant stops or your japa mala is there, that is further synchronization at the action level. With every chant you move this japa mala like this. The procedure is very scientific. Technically, you will find that many people moving the japa mala like this, which is okay, which is easy. But more difficult way to practice is to keep this finger straight here. That's why you'll find some people having a bag where this finger is coming out straight. There is a reason for that also. Then you have to move the mala with this finger, one bead at a time. When this becomes mechanical, actually this finger slowly comes like this. That is an automatic process. That is why to keep it alert, it is like this. And you should not cross the meru. You turn it again and do it. When the mind goes here and there, the chanting automatically stops. When the chanting automatically stops, this rotation stops. This rotation, when it stops, there is some jerk in you. Oh my God, where is my mind going? You have to bring it back again. This is the science behind the technique of Japamala. All this is at that level of meditation. Krishna says, Yajnanam Japa Yajñosmi. I am the Japa Yajna. Okay. So therefore we understand that there is a connection between chanting and thought flow. Now, our mind, which is preoccupied in the world, in order to bring it to the level of spiritual pursuit and thinking of God, chanting of God's name is very much recommended whenever you find time. And this is one sadhana which does not require any external control or discipline as you require probably for other type of pujas. Suppose you want to offer flower for the God, or if you want to go to temple, you will take bath and go. You have to follow certain niyama. At least there is a thought association that you will not go into the puja room when you are not clean. These are all very clear. But chanting of Lord's name, you can do it even as you are in the bathroom. That type of a thing is there. So that is something which is given as a a free practice that can be done. So Adi Shankaracharya gives that technique, and he says, for a person who is even at a very low level of spiritual pursuit, very easily what you can do is Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. As you are chanting this God's name, everything is going to automatically follow. When you are going to chant the God's name, your mind is going to automatically follow this. So keep chanting it. Then you will go into higher realms of spiritual practices also. So this is a very basic practice. This is applicable for all. This is no specific adhikari or anybody like that. So therefore this practice is very easily given. So this verse can be taken as a very direct appeal to the mind. Just chant Lord's name, that's all. And then you can say that at the appointed hour, this is what is going to save you. Because if you are practicing like this, the last thought during the last phase of your life, it will automatically come there. Bhagavad Gita says, Yam yam vati smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tame veti kaunteya. So whatever thought you have in the last phase of your life, last breath, that is where you are going to go. So it is very easy to say that think of God at the last breath. It is not but so easy, because like the sleep, like the end of your life, it is a resultant of what all you have thought of throughout the life. That is what will come at that point of time. It is not fully in our control. So therefore, when you are alert now, do practice it. When you practice it, it is going to automatically come. This should be carefully understood. Why I am saying it is, that is why I am saying it should not be made cheap. It is simple, but it is simple. Whatever is simple need not be cheap. Whatever is cheap need not be simple. What is the process of making a idli or chapati also? It is a big process, right? You have to grind the flour, then you have to leave it overnight, it has to ferment, then next day you have to steam it, and a lot of process there. 1 or 2 days full process is there before you get idli. But even today, with all this inflation and other things, what would be the cost of idli if you make it? It's not very costly, maybe a rupee. I'm just saying, very cheap. But it is not simple. It's not simple, but it's cheap. On the other hand, you think of a email that comes to you, or a advertisement that comes. You have to, in the advertisement it says you start from Calcutta on a cruise. It goes to Bangkok, then it goes to Japan, and then it goes to America, goes to then South Africa, then comes back to India, all in 30 days or 60 days, and everything is taken care for you. Nothing you need to do, just call 2222. That's all. It's very simple. But you must know how much you have in hand or in the bank balance before you can make that call. It is simple because you need not do anything. Everything is taken care of. They will come collect your passport. They will do everything. All the visa is arranged. The hotel, everything is arranged. Sightseeing is arranged. Nothing that you need to do. You need to just go out and enjoy. But it is not cheap. What is simple need not be cheap. What is cheap need not be simple. Uttering God's name is simple, but don't cheapen it. There was one person who misunderstood this. Somebody said in the Bhagavad there is a story of Ajamila. Ajamila's story is given to show the power of God's name. He was a person who lived a very great life according to his community. He belonged to a high Brahmin community and he was following all the rites, rituals in a very pure way he was doing. When he went to collect some faggots in the forest, he saw a gypsy, fell in love with her, and he wanted to marry her. She was okay, but she said on the condition that you will stay with us here in the forest. In that delusion of or the infatuation, he said okay to everything. He married, he stayed with them. See, per se, you cannot blame her. He then went into the complete conduct of life which was of the gypsies. Okay. And he forgot everything. He was into a way of life. Maybe he ate whatever they ate. He hunted. He did all those things that was done by the gypsies. And he had many children. And he was in the deathbed. In the deathbed, he was calling out his son's name. His son was there, and his son was Narayana. So he called Narayana's name, and then the breath went. So for all the karma that he had done, Yama's messengers were ready to take his life. Suddenly, the story is Vishnu's messengers came and they said, no, he belongs to us. They said, no, probably you have come for a wrong address. You know this fellow, how he lived throughout his life. All that is fine. At the last moment, he said, Narayana. So he belongs to us. That's all they said. And then they took away. Yama's messengers went to Yama. And they reported what happened. Yama was very furious. Why?
Because he did the bad karma, he did not
He lost his client.
Yeah.
No. Yama said, having heard that name Narayana, why did you even argue with them? He belonged to them only. Because the power of the word Narayana, only few people know, and I am one of them. He proudly says that. This is the story, and the story is the conversation between those two messengers is meant for Ajamila. Now this story must be understood afterwards. His life did not go. He went to Badrikashrama, did tapas, and all that is given. Okay, but this is the turning point actually. But what the story says is, even at the last moment, if you are able to think of his name, not intentionally, he did not intend Lord Narayana. He just called the name of his son. So it is just to show us the power of the word and the thought association that is associated with it. That's about all. One person was saying this story, and another person who heard this, he thought, this simple, that's all it is. He was a dharmic fellow who was doing very dharmic activities. He was doing something in temple, he was doing annadana, he was doing his own rites and rituals. He went ahead and stopped everything because he has found a method which is very, very simple. So he said, only in the last breath I have to say Narayana and everything is done. That's all it is. And so he stopped all the dharmic activities. He told his relatives, when my last breath, that time comes, if I forget, just remind me. I have to say this Lord's name, you just remind me, that's all. They also said okay. And the appointed hour also came. He was lying on the bed and he was wanting to say the name. The tongue is twisted now. The tongue's nerve is not cooperating with him. The name is not coming. Some other sound is coming. And all others who are there, they are telling him, you wanted to say that, no, say, they are saying. At least they could have been charitable enough to say it in his ears for him. No, because they are afraid if they say, that name is associated with the last thought only. So if they say and if they go away, they are afraid. So they did not say. You wanted to say something, no, say, they are saying. He is not able to say. Slowly the tongue gets all right, his consciousness goes away. He goes into slowly a coma state. Now this story, whether it is a story or real thing happened, I don't know. It was conveyed in a lecture, but this can happen. Do not cheapen it. Do not cheapen God's name. The sadhana is given as a very simple practice for us, but you have to take it in the right spirit and go further. So does it mean that only I do this and nothing else? No, you can still attend a Gita class or you can study Vedanta, but keep to this as a very base. So the very base is how to get yourself associated to the connection of spirituality, connection of the thought of the self. That's all it means. So taking that as a cue, you can say Bhaja Govindam. And he has also, why not any other name? Because Govinda is a very common name and it is Lord Krishna's name. Not only that, there is also a special probably a liking of Shankaracharya for the word Govinda because his guru was Govinda Bhagavatpada. Shankaracharya's guru was Govinda Bhagavatpada. So probably he is remembering his guru also. One of the ways we can sort of correlate this is the last verse of Bhaja Govindam says Guru Charanambuja Nirbhara Bhaktaha. So you have to fall at the lotus feet of your guru, he says. Probably he is remembering the guru in the beginning and in the end. Probably for that also he is saying Govinda. This is, if you take the verse literally also, it works. But what is the purport or the Vedantic meaning here? Govinda refers to pure consciousness. Govinda means Lord of Go. Go means various meanings are there in Go. In every meaning you will find that the Lord of that is the Supreme Self only. Go means earth. The substratum of this earth is the Brahman only. Go means cattle. The cattle is referred as a symbolism for the 5 senses that we have. And the master of the senses is again the self within, the Atma within. That is also Govinda. Go means speech. Speech refers to all organs of action. Cattle refers to all senses, which is organs of perception. Speech refers to all organs of action. And who is that who enables the speech to function, all the organs of action to function? It is the same Supreme Self. That is also Govinda. Go also means Vedas. And what is the Lord of Vedas, or the essence of Vedas, or the essential being which has to be found in the Vedas? That is nothing but Govinda, which is the self only. So he says, seek the self, seek the self, seek the self. Now, what are you seeking? We are seeking the mundane activities, which is the non-essentials. Non-essentials means when you pursue anything as an end in itself without knowing why we are pursuing what we are pursuing. That is what is called as a mundane activity. It is not to condemn what we do as karma or anything here, but make that karma into a karma yoga. That is possible only when you are able to dedicate it to a cause, to a higher goal. So that must be the pursuit. So irrespective of what you do, where is your focus? The focus must be on the self. The grammar Dukran Karane, grammar rules must be used as an aid in the language, not to get involved in it. See, many people, even all the literature, all the works of great spiritual guidance, all this is given in beautiful poetry. Bhagavad Gita, Bhaja Govindam are all, they are also great songs, great poetry. Many people don't come to this side at all. Let's say 5% only take it up. Even if the 5% who take it up, among them, many may be caught up just in the literary beauty of it. You are so enamored by the wrapper of the chocolate that you forget to open the wrapper and eat the chocolate. The chocolate is meant to be eaten. What is the message inside? That must be taken in. So, the grammar and the language and everything is required. It is a package. That is, because unless otherwise the wrapper is there, the chocolate will not hold. It is required. But through the grammar and everything, you have to find that if you are going to pursue it per se as an end in itself, then it becomes mundane. Now he says Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam 3 times. Why 3 times?
With body, mind and intellect.
Usually our pursuit is threefold in the world. We pursue physical pleasures through the body. We pursue emotional pleasures through the mind. We pursue pleasures at the level of the intellect through our intellect, intellectual pleasures through our intellect. So, our extroverted pursuits based on our 3 equipments are threefold, probably to indicate that he says Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Mudamate. Mudamate means O foolish mind. You can say that he is telling the person who is doing that, or he is telling all mankind. That is, you are telling yourself. You are telling yourself, oh foolish mind. As and when the pursuit goes, you are telling your own this thing. See, a fool is one who does not know the glory of the infinite. Therefore, he seeks the joy in the finite world. That's all. He is a fool. When the whole infinite thing is there for you, why should you consider yourself to be only belonging, or you just hold on to that limited aspect? A king's son is there. The whole kingdom actually belongs to him. But he says, no, this plate is only mine. This is only where I will eat. This only belongs to me. He's a child. Therefore, the king will not maybe say anything. But he understands sometime he will grow. Similarly, the whole world, the entire universe, the infinite actually belongs to you. It is you. Without that, we are not understanding that we are pursuing something very finite. Such a person can be called as a fool. So when Shankaracharya calls fool, and he is going to call in a couple of other verses also in Bhaja Govindam, what does it mean? Remember, he is not chiding us, he is not putting us down, rather he is giving us the highest compliment. By calling us fools, he is giving us the highest compliment. How? See, the thing is, when do you call a person a fool? Let's say a household has two brothers. One, the first elder brother always gets 100 out of 100 marks in mathematics, let's assume. The other person is average. He gets maybe 50-60 marks. And in the final exam, the second brother, he has scored 75. The father says, very good, brilliant. And he gives him a lot of presents also. The first son, he gets 98. What will he say? Oh, fool, how can you make the silly mistake? It's a silly mistake because of which he missed 2 marks. Now he cannot say that you have got some more marks than the other person, because the potential of the first person is actually 100 and he achieved less than his potential. Other son potential was 60, but he overshot himself and he got 75, which was very good from his point of view. So when you are able to come, you have the potential to come up to that level, and you don't come up to that level, then very lovingly the acharyas chide us, fool, do not waste your time. Like that they are saying, imagine a person of Indian who has reached, let us say, the Wimbledon final for the first time. Nobody has done it before. He has reached. Okay? And this itself is a great achievement in itself. And he has beaten all great players along the way and now come to the finals. Finals, fortunately, is with a lower ranked person. Okay? Already there is a celebration and tomorrow is the final. Tonight he is going for a party and the party goes for a long time. He is very tired, because of which next day match he is affected. Because of which an easy match which he could have won, he lost. We will say, fool, how could you miss it? You could have waited for the party one more day. You could have just won it. It was in your hands. But you missed a great opportunity. So that is a fool. Now what is our potential? That we are born as a human being itself is a very, very great blessing. Without being egoistic, be happy about it. Pat yourself, congratulate yourself that we are born as a human being. Because what is the percentage of human being to the whole spectrum of all living beings? It is not even 1 in a million or trillion. It is 1 in infinitesimal. If you take into consideration all the bacteria and germs and grass and every form of being that is there in this planet Earth, human being is 7 billion. It is nothing. It is nothing means nothing. Even the germs and bacteria in this room may be more. So, imagine, therefore 7 billion is infinitesimal. You are one of that, is a great privileged group that you belong to. Of the human beings, how many are really humans? That is a very small percentage indeed. Who is really a human? A person who really can think. A person who even asks the question, is there anything beyond the mundane existence? Even he questions, he need not go into getting the answers, that comes later. Is there anything more to life? Because animals also live a life and they are very disciplined in a way that they are living their lives. So what is it that I can be proud of if I consider myself superior to animals? That means I have got a thinking faculty with which I can question existence of God, purpose of life, all this potential I have. So who really asks this question, that percentage is again very small amongst human beings. Now if you have done that, again congratulate yourself. You are belonging to a very, very small group now. In that group, how many are getting satsang? How many are getting the guidance of a right guru? That is again a very, very small percentage in that group. And having got that, if you don't put in effort to go further, then you are wasting your time. So that is why Kenopanishad says, Iha cheda vedi tata satyam asti, nachedi havedin mahati vinashti. It is a supremely great loss. Having come so far, having put in, because all this is the product of your past karma, you have done all those things and come near. Having come so far, why would you want to waste that? So if you do that, you will be addressed as a fool only. So in that sake he is saying, so probably that person is knowing Sanskrit, he can read scriptures. He is going to say later in the 14th verse here, Pashyan apichana pashyati mudaha. Those who are willing to see, have the opportunity to see and the capacity to see, yet they are not seeing. Mudaha. They are fools. So he is addressing us fools like that. Samprapte sannihite kale nahi rakshati dukkan karane. Samprapte sannihite kale means at the appointed hour. Appointed hour means at the time of the death, at the time where this leaves the body, all the mundane activities will not help you. See, all through the lifetime, think about what priorities we give, how much energy we put in doing various other things. We may collect name, we may collect money, we may collect relationships, we may collect various other things as you pursue along, as you go along. But none of this is going to come with you at that appointed hour. Everything you have to leave here and go. So what is it that really is going to come with you? What is it going to come with you is the percentage of your knowledge and ignorance. That's all. Knowledge means not the bookish knowledge, the knowledge of the self. To the extent that your mind and intellect has opened up to the reality, suppose if it is, let us say, 40-60, you begin the next life with 40-60. The maturity of the mind to which it has gone, that is where you will begin in the next life. So that is what you need to focus. That is what you need to collect more. That 40-60 only, if you are able to raise to 45-55, that's good. In emails and WhatsApp, we get some stories. One man was there who had 4 wives. Okay. The 4th wife was very young and very beautiful. He always doted on her more. 3rd wife also, he was able to relate. 2nd wife, rarely, but he was able to relate to her also, and he was spending more time with her. 1st wife he did not care about. He neglected her completely. She was completely emaciated. He was about to pass away. He was about to die. So he is asking the 4th wife, will you come with me? Because she was the dearest. She says, I am already gone, and she goes to some other person. I can't come with you. The 3rd wife he asks, now very disappointed he is. 3rd wife asks, will you come with me? No, I can't come with you. I'll just wait till you close your eyes. That's all. 2nd wife he is asking, at least will you come with me? She says, no, maybe up to the cremation ghat I'll come. We will do all the rites and rituals for you. That's about all. And he is so disappointed and he is crying now. Then a voice says that I'll come with you. That is the 1st wife. And he is now crying even more because this is the wife who he should have catered to all his life. But unfortunately, he has understood the value of her only in the deathbed. Now, what is the 4th wife? Your wealth. Your wealth, that's all. Before you even close your eyes, it will go away to somebody. And who are the 3rd wife is all your friends and other people who are all around you. They are there till your breath is there. Your closest relatives, wife, children, immediate family, they will all be there. It's not that they don't love you, but they are going to come up to the cremation ghat. But it is the Atma within you, which is the 1st wife, which is going to be there throughout with you, which is there at all times. It is just that we neglect, and the value of it we understand very late. So that is the relation that we need to strongly bind. It is through that relation that you will be able to relate to others also. So therefore, samprapte sannihite kale, at the appointed hour, The mundane activities is not going to help you. What is going to help you is Govinda. Seek the self, seek the self, seek the self, O foolish mind. At the destined time, mundane activity never indeed would save you. We'll chant verse 2 twice.
मूढजहि धनागमतृष्णां गुरु सद्बुद्धिं मनसि वितृष्णाम् यल्लभसे निजकर्मोपात्तं वित्तं तेन विनोदय चित्तम् मूढजहि धनागमतृष्णां गुरु सद्बुद्धिं मनसि वितृष्णाम् यल्लभसे निजकर्मोपात्तं वित्तं तेन विनोदय चित्तम्.
O fool, give up your thirst for aggrandizing wealth. Create in your mind the thought of reality instead of the thirst. Whatever you gain from your action, content your mind with that wealth obtained. We said Bhaja Govindam, it is a Vedantic text covering all aspects, yet there is a repeated referral to Kanchana and Kamini, which is acquisition and enjoyment. Wealth and woman, representative of acquisition and enjoyment, which is the motivation of human pursuits generally. He is talking about the hollowness of both the pursuits, both the motivations. In verse 2, he is referring to Kanchana or the wealth. Kanchana means gold. Gold is the measure of wealth. And in verse 3, he is going to talk about Kamini, woman, which is representative of the enjoyment. Muda, again, fool. Muda because he does not know the potential and just pursues only wealth here. So not knowing that the full wealth is there within you, he is committing himself to pursuing only the wealth, so he is considered as a fool. He does not know what the real richness is. He is a fool. It says, very important to note the word here, Muda Jahihi Dhana Agama Trishnam. Dhana Agama Trishnam means the thirst for aggrandizing wealth. Jahihi means drop, renounce, give up. So this verse very clearly also indicates, because in other places you have to derive the message, but in here very clearly it indicates, it is not asking us to renounce wealth at the level that he is talking to us. He is not asking to renounce wealth. He is saying, renounce your thirst for wealth. That is very, very important message there. Muda jahihi dhana agama trishna. Trishna means thirst. Thirst means a craving. You are wanting incessantly what you are wanting. That is called as craving. The knowledge of Vedanta has been given in the past to Raja Rishis, and Raja Rishis are both Raja and Rishi. They are kings, they are aristocrats, they are royal sages. King Janaka was a great Vedantin. At the same time we have Sudama also, who was a pauper. So it is for us to think that all these people who are of great men of renunciation, they could be from any background. And it is very inspiring if a man possessing all wealth is able to remain detached in that society. I mean, it's a very great achievement. He becomes probably an inspiration and role model for others also. So, what has to be renounced then? Not the wealth. You have to renounce the craving for wealth. See what this craving does is, craving is an incessant demand that I want it, this sort of a thirst. This incessant demand for wealth actually keeps you poor at all times. So poverty is not measured in terms of how much bank balance you have or how much properties and other things that you have. it is with reference to a state of mind which is whether it is very much craving. See, think it from the point of view of psychology. The moment you start craving for something, yearning for something more and more, what do you consider yourself to be? Less. You are actually a beggar. A beggar is also constantly asking for money. Okay. Now you are asking, you may not ask like a beggar, but inwardly, whether to God or whether that craving is there, that you are also seeking this more and more, it puts you in the position of a beggar only. So therefore the attitude is that I am not having money, therefore that makes you a poor person. Here we can derive a formula for richness and poverty. It's a brilliant formula given by Swamiji. He says, if your income and assets are generally more than your desires, then you are rich. What is important in life is that you feel rich, not just be rich. You have to feel rich. That's why we say that there is a difference between richness and aristocracy in normal terms that we use. Richness is possession of, let us say, more money. Aristocrat is somebody who feels rich. Therefore, when we talked about Raja Rishi, that is what it is. Suppose we say Raja Rishi is only qualified for Vedanta, then we will think when I will become a king and when I will read Vedanta. Not so. You can be a normal middle class person also. That really doesn't matter. See, all of us are very clear that at least we are not looking forward to the 3 meals in a day that is there provided, right? You have a place to stay. You have enough clothes to wear. That's all. You are already a king. You belong to a percentage in the world which is a sort of a elite percentage where many other people may not even have that luxury that you are having. So you already belong to that category. So it is important at whichever level you are, you have to start feeling this. So when your income and assets are more than your desires, or rather your mind's desires are kept under control within the purview of your income and assets, you are a rich person. Irrespective of your bank balance, if your desires are much more than your income and assets, then you are a poor person. When Swamiji was lecturing in America, genuinely a person asked suddenly in the crowd, he said, very many thought leaders like you, very many spiritual people are there in India and they come and give us nice thoughts, nice lectures. But tell me, having produced so many genius and giants, why is India so poor? This was his question, and he did not mean to attack or something. Genuinely he asked. So Swamiji said, before I answer your question directly, I have to give a couple of examples. He said, there was a article that he read in Economist or some financial journal, written by a German. The German was a millionaire or billionaire, multi-billionaire. He used to always buy 3 helicopters every year. Like some people update as and when new car comes, right? New brand comes. He used to update his helicopter stock. Maybe with increase in technology or something, he will buy 3 helicopters. That is what is usually does. And he is talking about how inflation has affected and there is so much meltdown, this, that he is not able to buy 3 helicopters anymore. Only one he is able to buy, he says. Swamiji said when he read that article, he felt so sympathetic that you want to send him some money. That, he has written it very nicely, so nicely that he is invoking the pity from the reader. Like that it is. This is one person. Then he recalls the experience of his own peon, where he worked in the SO oil company before he took to full-time Vedanta. There was very many Westerners were working still from Madras office. They were controlling South Asia, and very many Americans were working there. And this peon was Narayan. And towards the end of the month, all these bosses, all these white Western people, they used to come to Narayan and have some discussion or something with him. He used to notice. And then after they all left, so Swamiji asked him, what did they want? Why are they behind you all the time? He said, no, they just take some money from me. What? They take money from you? They are all at the senior manager levels. But, the Americans have the habit of spending future money. And the Indians have a habit of saving money. In general, I am saying. So this person's salary may not be even 500 rupees. We do not know. So, like that it is a peon. But these people whose salaries may be very, very high, they used to borrow from him, but they used to promptly return when the salary comes. That was a practice. Then Swamiji put this question to the audience. Who do you think is rich? Whether the German who could not buy a second helicopter, or this Narayan who was a peon in the company? Then the whole crowd said, who is rich and who is poor. So he was trying to educate that India is poor, that we have lost the practical Vedanta at the action level. That is different. That is a separate discussion. But in general, when a person is able to be content with reference to wealth, and he is keeping his desires within the means of his income and asset, he is indeed a rich person. He is and extreme of it, you will understand that a person has no wants at all. Who has no wants, no desires, he is a renunciate completely. He is called as Maharaj. We call sannyasis as Maharaj. He is real Maharaj because he owns the whole world. That is the relation here. So, this craving, coming back here, this is the craving that makes us poor at all times. So that is the thought process that we are working with all the time. Whether I am poor. This is the hidden. You may not explicitly say it, but this is what you feel inside. And you saw in The Secret also, it's only Vedantic thought. It says it is based on that you are inviting those things in your world. Miseries in the world. See, because you may still get more money, but you will still feel miserable. That is based on your poor feeling, your poverty inside. Poverty is there inside. And not only that, even if that person has enough funds, he will not be able to enjoy it. There will be a pain associated with acquisition of wealth. There is a pain associated with preservation of wealth. And we need not talk about parting of wealth. There's like a death. The classic character of Shylock in Merchant of Venice we can relate to here. So you can earning wealth itself is a hard process. That's why so much time and effort it is there in acquisition that he really doesn't have time for enjoyment. That is acquisition. It is taking a toll on him and his health, everything. That's a hard work. And then preservation, constantly thinking where to put the money, what is the best saving method, security, this, that, or protection, insurance, and theft, various other things that you need to worry about. And then that is a constant tension. And when it comes to actual parting, though we may say that, why are you having so much wealth? Why are you saving so much wealth? We do not know when and how anything can happen. It can be a sudden heart attack, then the hospital bill is like that. They may all talk like that and it may seem very logical. But even as you have heart attack and when you pay the bill for the hospital, it's not easy to write the check also. The parting of money is actually difficult. So everything associated with money is pain, and yet we do not leave the craving for wealth. So in this verse he only says, Muda jahihi dhana agama trishna. Not only that, when you are absolutely attached to wealth, you are bound to lose the wealth also. As I said, too much preoccupation in your mind with reference to wealth, you are not able to concentrate on even on the minimum things that you must do as it is, which will invariably take away the wealth from you. The formula works invariably whether you are attached to a living being or a non-living being. When the attachment is there, your expectations, your desires, what you impose upon others, what others should as such dance according to your tunes, this is what we expect. But each and everything has its own pace, its own movement, its own direction. Unnecessarily, when you tie yourself with that, invariably it is going to break and go away. On the other hand, if we understand the opposite, we will understand how this attachment functions. Detachment really makes you gain everything. When a person is chasing a shadow, he will be never able to get that shadow. But I ask you, when does one chase the shadow? Meaning, what direction he is facing when he is chasing the shadow?
The light is behind.
When the light is behind you. When the sunlight is behind you, shadow is falling in front of you, and then you are trying to chase the shadow, you can never catch the shadow. Rather, you turn towards the sun and go towards the sun. What happens is the shadow follows you. Sun is the knowledge of the self, the higher. Shadow is all this wealth, fame, money and everything. As long as you turn your back towards the knowledge and pursue this as an end in itself, they are going to recede away from you. The moment you turn back and pursue the self, all this is going to follow you for sure. The moment you are able to rise above the desires and go, you are creating a vacuum by which you are able to fill up that. That is how it comes to you. So the way to gain anything is to lose it. This is the a classical quote of Swami Ramatirtha. Remember this. This is a sentence that we can think for the rest of our lives. The way to gain anything is to lose it. Rather, we never lose this. This craving means what? Constantly we are not losing it. We are holding on to it. I want it, I want it, I want it. This is a thought that we are keeping in the mind at all times. You are invariably not going to get it. A person who is craving about success, he is going to be never successful. A person who is going to be craving about the trophy, he is not going to get the trophy because he is entering the court as a loser. Constantly his eye is on success. Craving for success means I don't consider myself to be a successful person now. So with that free mind, he will not play the game. In a way, you can relate Ivan Lendl's example here. Ivan Lendl was a great champion in tennis. In 80s and 90s also he played. He won all the trophies and championships except Wimbledon. He didn't win. If you notice his attitude to Wimbledon, he was very obsessed with Wimbledon. Right from February, March onwards, he will make statement, this year I'll win, this year I'll win. Like that it was. And so therefore, when it came to the actual final, he was so obsessed with it that instead of probably having his full concentration and focus on the game, a part of it was in the trophy, which is the cup. So he did not lose the cup at the mental level. He held on to it. He did not win it at all. People talk about grass court and clay court and his speciality. That's all secondary. That's not the real reason. He beat all great players and came to final. And in the final, once it was Becker, who was ranked lower than him. Once it was Pat Cash, who was ranked much lower than him. Why should he lose to such a person? He could have easily won. It is only to be understood from the point of view of obsession of the mind. So once the mind gets attached, it is going to lose it also. So in every way you look at it, craving for wealth is not a viable proposition. But all over the world, what rules our lives is only the wealth. Each and every person, whether it is a herd instinct, whether it is a peer pressure, whether it is measurement of success, or everything is centered around possession and earning of wealth. Now, in this verse, Shankaracharya also gives what is the method to give up that craving. That's very interesting. It is not to say just give up the craving for wealth. It's easy to say. But how to do it, he is going to say, which we'll see in the next class. Oh, Paramarshi.
Om Poornam Adah Poornamidam Poornat Poornamudachyate Poornasya Poornamadaya Poornamevavashishyate Om शान्तिः शान्तिः